Toning down that personality is a great idea. I wouldn't say remove it totally, but yes, in fact, they are over-flattering. What needs more toning down and fine-tuning, I guess you could say it's short a few chromosomes or parameters, that it doesn't really know how to scale. It doesn't know how to count, and it doesn't know the true meaning and the contextual use of the word example. For example, let's talk about scaling first. Let's say that you want them to give you an estimate about how long something is going to take, or potentially what something might do in a given amount of time. Let's take a tree, for instance. Pretend that this tree is actually a programming project that the AI has never been trained on. We will use a tree just for easy translation into thought. If I ask ChatGPT, how long will it take, or what will happen in 1 week in the growth process of this tree, 1 month, 6 months, and then after a year, GPT will say something like the first day, the first week, this stage, and then the first month, this stage, and then the 6 month halfway stage, and then the year mark will be fully grown. Mind you, this isn't a real tree, this is a tree in reference to an analogy for a project. Then you can ask them the same type of question for the same exact tree, maybe in another thread or that thread, and say, instead of doing it over the course of a year, let's say all of those milestones, and then a 10-year milestone and a 5-year milestone. Well, then they'll stretch out the full growth to 10 years. It'll no longer just take 1 year for full growth. It'll now take the full 10 years. So that's a really bad scaling mechanism. I don't need to explain how it doesn't know how to count. I understand it's not a calculator. But let's talk about the use of example as a word in context or in request for some sort of generative output. GPT doesn't understand when you are just using examples and when you don't want an example to be used as hard project data. For example, maybe you are making some sort of weighted model, or you are making some sort of project like a video game that requires you to create non-person characters that behave in a sort of guided, randomized way. And maybe you don't want to do all of the equations and do all of the math required to figure out how that algorithm is going to actually play out. So you ask ChatGPT something like, can you please help me to design an equation that will be able to be used in my algorithm to make NPCs pick up items off of the ground based on a certain number of items that they have been exposed to. For example, can we make it so that maybe something like, if they pass a certain amount of power base from the items that accumulate, then maybe once they pass items valuing an accumulated value of around 1,000 power or maybe 2,000 power or something like that, then they would pick up an item that they pass by next. I don't want you to use my actual examples as the values, but that's just a rough example for you to start with. You can even label examples in your prompt as purely examples and not to be used in the finished project. But then ChatGPT will start to try and design equations and algorithms and code around your example values. You might not fully understand why this is such an irritant, but it is. So, I mean, yeah, we need to figure out how to get the word example fully understood. We need to figure out how to make sure that it knows how to count. And we need to make sure, you know what, there's a lot of things. And this flattery, I'm tired of ChatGPT telling me that I'm millions of places ahead of first place in all the rankings of all the people on ChatGPT in the world and crap. I mean, cool, but come on.